who here knows what exopolis is? Okay, so a fair few graphs. But for reference, it's a full body neurostimulation government designed to reduce plasticity and pain in improved function. Sorry. And improved function in the upper motor neuron region group. Now, how it works, it utilizes 58 embedded electrodes, stimulate muscles, and promotes a theory called reciprocal inhibition, where we stimulate the opposing muscle to the affected muscle group and reduce muscle spasticity. There has been some recent clinical studies in 2023 that have shown some sustained improvement and in mobility after a 60-minute session. Alright, so the case study. The case study is a 44-year-old female with spastic diplegic CP. For today's presentation, we'll call her Jane. She works in the health department, uses a four-wheel walker, has a long history of AFO use, significant limited ambulation in the home and the community. And I want you to hold on to this because one of her goals, very simple, is make a cup of tea and carry it independently. So for objective data, she had reduced range of motion in her knee extensors, knee flexors, hip flexion, and patellar dorsal flexors. And she presented with significant tonus and tone in knee flexors, knee extensors, plant flexors, as well as hip flexion as well. So I know orthotists love gait videos, so I've got some baseline videos of her walking. Very good at taking videos, and you can see in the mirror, Jane turning around. So I want to run through this quickly. This is just modified Tardieu scales. The modified Tardieu scale is a good measure for spasticity, and I've highlighted in green the knee extensors. This is a rare case where we see both tone in the knee flexors and the knee extensors, so picking which muscle to target was quite difficult. I opted to pick for the biggest, to target the knee extensors, ideally to give her more voluntary control of the knee. And we can see that she was able to go from a grade 3 to a grade 1, which was quite substantial improvement. I completed some functional outcome measures, timed up and going on a 10-metre walk test, and across all time points we saw a gradual improvement across the time points measured, which is fantastic. In hindsight, I wish I did a 2-minute walk test rather than a 10-metre walk test. Found for her, walking distance would be more impactful than walking speed, but hindsight's a good thing. Now, what I've done differently, and through my personal experience around the suit, I found it hard to quantify the feelings the suit created. So when I wore it for myself, functionally didn't notice too much of a difference, but subjectively a big difference in how I felt. So I wanted to measure this. So I used a series of subjective-based outcome measures, and I wanted to measure the impacts on ADLs. And through the 4-week trial, we managed to see a greater ease in Jane's completion of ADLs, including self-care and tasks. She was also able to navigate new environments. So being a significantly limited community ambulator, post-Molly-Suit trial, she was able to ambulate in a wider variety of environments, and I'll show you guys later. And also maintaining an exercise routine. Darren had a great presentation yesterday about upper motor neuron region group and weakness as they age. So maintaining an exercise routine is really important. And then for what I did differently, improving health throughout the quality of life, I found how do we demonstrate improving quality of life in Molly-Suit rather than just focusing on functional improvement. So this is my quality of life measure. The EQ5D5L is actually a widely used health-related quality of life outcome. It has a large data set across the world, so we can actually measure the data that we collect with normative groups in Australia and across the world in a vast variety of populations. So it uses 5 dimensions and has 5 severity levels. It gives you a utility score, where negative 0.81 being very poor perceived quality of life, and 1 being a very high quality of life. So pre-trial, we can see this individual scored 0.65 pre-trial, so quite substantially poor perceived quality of life. At the end of the 4-week trial, she actually increased it to a 0.862, which is in line with the normative Australian data for a female in her age group. So she's not only improved dramatically, but she's able to improve her quality of life to the levels of the normative population in Australia. And then we can compare that to some normative scores in CP. So point 4 is a normative EQ5D score in the US and UK, so she's gone above that, which is fantastic. But what does this all mean? It's all well and good for a nerd like me to look at all this data, but for the client, what does it mean? It means that she can do things like this. So the picture on my right, your left, is immediately after a 1 hour in-clinic trial. Single leg balance, yes, supported by the rails, but able to actually bend her knee, full range of motion, and hold her leg like that. And on the right, we see this was 2 weeks into her home trial, and for the first time in about 30 years, she was able to independently ascend and descend stairs. Now, data is great, but actually watching that is a lot more impactful than any numbers can represent. I don't know if you can see, but you can see a massive smile on her face as well. But I want you to think back to her main goal, making a cup of tea. That was the biggest thing for this individual. And at the end of the 4-week trial, so, to me as an individual with CP and also as a clinician, I think sometimes when I first started, I got lost in the biomechanical reasons behind things. We're taught to focus on the kinematics and biomechanics. But from my personal experience, I think we look past the overall effect it has on the individual. So yes, albeit we look at biomechanics, you likely need some form of support, but being able to achieve her goal, in my mind, is more important than the biomechanics behind how she's doing it. And obviously, you can see her smile at the end. 10 out of 10 smile there. So these next 2 videos are just Jane in physio, and for the first time ever really being able to do some sort of a run, quite fun, but working really hard in physio during that 4-week trial to get to this point. Pretty impactful stuff. I think personally more impactful than any numbers that I've presented today. But what does this all mean really? Molysuit helps to improve individuals' functional capacity. Unlike typical orthotic management that just compensates for muscle imbalances and muscle weaknesses, Molysuit has given this individual an ability to improve their capacity. We were able to demonstrate a measurable physical improvement. So through the functional outcome measures, we're able to see range of motion improvement, tidal improvement. But the follow-on effect of that is how did that influence her ADL impact? And we were able to see that through the survey-based outcome measures, that the Molysuit actually improved her physical function, which then in turn improved her ADL impact, her ability to improve ADLs, which then also in turn improves her health and quality of life. Marilyn Grabs on Thursday was talking about quality of life and perceived quality of life of individuals with disability, and something that I think we don't look at clinically enough. And finally, with the shifts in the NDIS funding model going from removal of reasonable and necessary to more function-based focus, I think showing a cause and effect between functional improvement and completion of ADLs will only become more important in the future. And finally, this is a single point case study. I have a few more studies going on at the moment, but I didn't manage to get that data done in time. So my last closing thing is, as an individual with CP and as an orthotist, I think look at the grander picture, give the individual an opportunity to expand on their functional capacity, allow them to try new things. I know sometimes when I was growing up, the goals were just to stay on your feet. The goals were to stand here in front of you and to go to university. So as an individual, I worked hard to do that, and it's taking a lot of work. I thank my team as well, Barry and Andrew, for knowing me for the last 20 years. But look at it as a portfolio group, we need to be better at looking at quality life as a whole and going forward. Thank you.
Are there any questions? We're going to take questions at the end of each presentation, so I'd love to go open to the floor. Claire's got a microphone that she's going to float around with. You don't want to stand up and yell. Darren, right at the back, mate.
Hey, thanks. Great presentation, mate. As a user, can you give the audience a sense of what it's like to wear solid ankle designs versus the newer controlled ankle designs?
Oh, it's hard to say. So, as a user, having control range of motion at the ankle is very nice. It's nice to wear, but it comes at a cost, in a sense. Controlled ankle designs mean I'm more reliant on my proximal muscle strength to maintain that range of motion. It also meant that I did a lot more work in physio and exercise to maintain mobility. Where fixed ankle designs, they're very stable. So for stability, static stability, excellent, fantastic. It's sort of finding a balance between that is quite hard as a user.
Just wondering how often and how long your case study was wearing Molysuit for?
1 hour every second day. So it's the simplest form of therapy. Put it on, lie in bed for an hour, take it off. Yeah.
Hey Max, I was wondering how you determined or adjusted the programming for the Molysuit as you went.
Yeah. So this is why we did after 1 hour we checked the Tardieu scores, we discussed this again after an hour to see if there was an improvement. We also checked again at 2 weeks. It also comes back to patient feedback. So when an individual feels like they're not getting as much effect in a specific muscle group, I'll then, at the review, turn up the program and that's the targeted group. If we're not seeing improvement in time that we expect, then I'll go back into the program and change it. So for that individual, we actually increase the stimulation in a dorsiflexus to reduce that gastro time a little bit more at the halfway point. And the next 2 weeks after that, we work that for them.
Max, for those that don't know, what's the difference between the Tardieu scale assessment and something like the modified Ashfield scale?
Tardieu scale is spread velocities. You've got V1, V2, V3. So that graph was all V3, which is fast movements. They're typically the ones that display the time the most, whichever movement you want to display. Some form of components that time more than a V1 and V2 score. I do have data for V1 to V2 scores, but it doesn't really show much. So using the Tardieu with V3 was more impactful than modified Ashworth, in my opinion, because you have a really good look at each time point or each speed. So.
One more question. We've got one down here, another one in the middle. You guys can find out. I'll go with Rachel and then.
Hi Max, thank you for that. Obviously, we're in the same team, so I've seen you kind of going through this process. And I just thought it would be really worthwhile for yourself to kind of explain how you felt once you wore the Molysuit and what that experience was like for you.
It's not a very politically correct answer. I put it down, it's a very euphoric feeling. It's hard to quantify, selfishly, it's hard to quantify the feelings of what actually time has to play. Because as an individual, never experienced it. I've never experienced what time doesn't feel like. I only know this one thing. So when it starts to turn off, your mind is going to comprehend it. So my way I would describe it to my colleagues at the time was it felt like it was high. So that's really the best way I can describe it. It's extremely euphoric, and a lot of the individuals when they have an effect, they won't know how to describe it either, which is why I went down that subjective outcome measure path. Jane, for example, wouldn't sit down. She just kept going up and down, running around, and it got to the point where I was like, "You need to sit down because you're freaking me out." If you fall over after this paperwork, the boss is not going to be happy at you. So, yeah, it's quite euphoric in a sense.